A Short Hike is a game developed by Adam Robinson Yu about an angry bird trying to climb to the top of a mountain to get Wi-Fi to play COD Mobile. This game had been in development since the end of 2018, but I found it 3/4 of the way through 2020 in one of those Nintendo third-party partner showcases that people hate for no reason.
Oh my god! Wow!
I was mostly uninterested in the other games, but this one caught my eye, so I decided to give it a spin. What did I think of it? Let's just say this game shattered my expectations. I expected to play this game for half an hour, be like, alright, this is kinda cool, then drop it to play something else. Anything else. Even like Fortnite or something. But no, I couldn't put this game down, and when I did, I just wanted to play it more. There's something so enticing about this game that I haven't been able to put into words. But now I'm going to try and explain why this game made my brain release ridiculous amounts of serotonin while I was playing it, and why I still think back fondly on it, even if it was only like a month ago when I first played it. Now, disclaimer, I am not a licensed game reviewer, but I will talk about this game anyway. Not that it matters, just figured I'd warn you that my word choice may not be the most eloquent. I mean, you don't care. You just want to see the funny cartoon man talk about the funny bird game. Okay, enough rambling, let's hop in. This game's story is similar to Breath of the Wild. No, I don't mean like it's a revenge story with like ghost people and giant killer robots. I mean like you choose how involved you get for the most part. In this game, you play as Claire, a young raven whose parent is taking her on a holiday to Hawk Peak to Hawk Peak Park, a delightful little island named after its famous mountaintop. Claire is expecting a call, but can only get cell phone reception at Hawk Peak, so she decides to take a short hike to get to the mountaintop and get the call she's been waiting for. Pretty simple story. There are also quirky little animal characters scattered across the island that are doing their own thing, and you can interact with them, some even giving you tasks to do for a potential reward. However, in terms of what's mandatory, you really only have to listen to the beginning part. Most of the NPCs can be avoided and you can just explore on your own, which I really appreciate. It caters to any kind of player. While some might want to explore every nook and cranny of the island, some might just want to run around without having to slow down to talk to anyone. If it were to force you into tutorials and dialogue, it could become annoying real quick, and probably damage your experience. The only mandatory piece of story besides the beginning is the very end. More on that later. However, I do have to say that the story is a little too shallow for me, but I can end up stomaching that. It's not bigger than it needs to be, and that's perfectly fine. Besides, if the main gripe from me about your game is that there isn't more of it, that's gotta be a good thing. You can sorta get your fill by interacting with as many characters as you can find, and even exploring the island can give you insight on things that may have happened there, which I think is good enough in the end. Better than padding out the game with meaningless nonsense, at least. I find that almost every game I play has some sort of small thing that continues to happen repeatedly that frustrates me to the point of developing a sort of loathing towards that game that ends up tarnishing my impression of it. For example, in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there will be times when I'm trying to use a special move to recover while close to the blast zone, but it will just end up killing me because the special moved me backwards slightly, which is ridiculous. Or how in Breath of the Wild, if you get hit while on a slope, you'll keep rolling. Forever. However, this game doesn't really have any sort of repetitive annoyance, so let me tell you, it's really good. In the beginning, you'll run all over the place like a toddler who drank a monster by accident, collecting cash and tools you'll find all over the island. Those are cool and all, but you really can't do much in terms of movement, so the real stars of the show are the golden feathers. Without them, you're a tiny little baby bird that can't do jack squat, but huff the golden dust from one of these bad boys, do a cute little pose, and you'll get an extra mid-air jump, and the ability to climb straight up walls. For a short time. In terms of platforming, this game is ludicrously fun to control. The gliding mechanics are practically fine-tuned to perfection in this. If Link's Paraglider had these kinds of gliding mechanics, Breath of the Wild would be my favorite game of all time. Even more so than Smash Bros. Okay, I'm done talking about other games. Back to this one. There isn't any sort of rush to get to Hawk Peak, so you have plenty of time to explore the park. And the game rewards you for exploring the island, so there's really no reason not to get to know the layout of the place, especially since there isn't any sort of map you can use to find your position. Come to think of it, with the hiking trails and trees all looking sort of similar across the island, I only ever had a vague recollection of the layout, sometimes just ending up getting lost entirely. Although I wouldn't call getting lost a negative in this game, it just gives you the opportunity to find more hidden secrets. Aside from getting lost easily, I found it a little time-consuming to have to scroll through the straight-line menu of tools to swap between them. You can get quite a few items in this game, so it can get quite time-consuming to scroll through the tiny little straight line. Why isn't it the 4x3 table or something? I don't understand. If this game had a map, and you could use the bumpers to swap between tools, then I'd be content. That is, until I started thinking about what multiplayer in this game would be like. Also, Claire can wear different hats. 100 out of 10 game. I'm kind of a fan of pixelated games. However, this game is not one of those. Except it is. I've never seen this sort of visual setting before, but this game actually allows you to change the size of the pixels you see, ranging from big and crunchy, to medium rare, to small and tasty, and finally, tiny and sharp. While the old school style is slightly overdone nowadays, not that I'm complaining, this setting helps you tailor it to what specific type of old style game you enjoy. Big and crunchy sort of remind me of the
Super Nintendo
aesthetic, and tiny and sharp reminds me of the
Game Boy Advance.
Very nice. Wait a second. Tiny animals? Star-shaped holes in the ground? Silhouettes of fish in the water? Is this game? No, it's not Animal Crossing. Yeah, I've heard this comparison made by a lot of people I show this game to. While the digging and fishing mechanics may look similar, they act very different. For example, when you're digging in the game, you have a lot more freedom with where you can dig due to how much more there is to dig up, and I wish that the fishing in this game was like Animal Crossing's, because it can take a lot of time to catch a fish. Okay, maybe not a lot of time. I'm just impatient. Another difference between a short hike and Animal Crossing is that I kind of like this game more than Animal Crossing. Then again, I've only ever played New Horizons, and apparently that game isn't very good, at least to the Animal Crossing fans I've talked to. So maybe it's a poor reflection of that franchise as a whole. Wait, I'm talking about other games. Moving on. The color palette is absolutely astonishing in this game, and that's not just because I like autumn colors. Adam Robinson Yu said he took pictures of forests in the fall and used those to make the color palette for the game, and it works here very well. Every piece of this game looks wonderful. The groovy beaches that surround the island, the seagull's boat, the marathon track, the more urban, mountainous side of the island, the waterfalls, Hawk Point. Not yet. Still later. Another nice visual thing in this game is the mist. This stuff clouds the distance and gives the game a more mysterious feeling that makes you want to go all around the island looking for the secrets the mist is hiding. But in reality, the mist is used to cover up how crunchy the island looks from a distance. This is especially apparent on the lowest pixel setting, looking at the area just in front of the mist. While it's obvious the mist is just a cover-up, it adds to the overall feeling of the game, and I don't think I would have done it any other way. The music in this game absolutely slaps. To begin with, the soundtrack is just filled to the brim with bangers. Beach Buds, Boat Buds, Somewhere in the Woods, See You at the Top. Okay, so the soundtrack isn't that big. But on top of the original tracks, each one has a long hike version, which is the equivalent of an extended version, and a flight mix that adds some strings on top of the other instruments in the tune, and only plays when you're gliding for an extended period of time, seamlessly transitioning between the normal song and the flight mix every time. It adds a whole new layer to the song, and honestly, makes the flight mix feel like an entirely new song. I'll be playing some examples now. Just the composer for this game? Mark Sparling is an absolute genius. I love this stuff. None of the tracks feel like they're trying to overwhelm you, like some other songs do in other games. This game's music, while it does take center stage in terms of what you hear, knows when to quiet down, and never makes you feel overwhelmed, at least in a negative sense. This soundtrack just screams happy. Okay, maybe not screams, more like gentle whispers. On top of each song being fantastic, each one feels so distinct, like an extension of a grander area, kind of like the different worlds of the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Just more original than those games. However, at the same time, these tracks all feel connected to each other, which solidifies that it's all just one island. And no specific area feels too different in contrast to the others, if that makes sense. It's hard to put how I feel about this soundtrack into words. I like it a lot. Now, I finally get to talk about Hawk Point, the ending. However, disclaimer, if you haven't already played this game, just skip to my final thoughts, or please click off now. And if you do leave now, thank you for watching. You're not gonna want this ending spoiled, and while I could just not talk about it in this video, I can't not talk about it, because the ending to A Short Hike, it's a little too close to home to just keep quiet about. So please click off, get the game, and play it for yourself. It's like $7 or something, and it's worth it tenfold. I'll wait. Okay, if you're still here, you've either seen the ending or don't care about what I say. So now I'll talk about my favorite moment, reaching Hawk Point. The whole objective of the game is to get to Hawk Point, so naturally it wouldn't be easy. As you near the snowy mountaintop, your feathers will freeze, making it more difficult to traverse the mountain because they won't recharge, requiring you to use every feather you have instead of waiting for them to charge up again. And for the whole duration of your snowy endeavor, this song begins to play. It's called Snow. Lots of snow. Yeah, I bet you didn't think this game had more than 4 songs, did ya? This song gives off a very different vibe compared to the other songs in this game. Very tensious and mystical. This is a song I was not expecting to hear after only listening to the upbeat beaches and the calm forests of the rest of the game. If you can make it to Hawk Point, the music fades out, you can see the very top, with a pool to recharge your feathers in nearby. You've reached Hawk Point. Good job. Claire goes up to the peak, checks out the beautiful view for a moment, and finally gets the phone call she's been waiting for. It's from her mother. Claire had been worried about her mother, who had gotten a surgery that Claire was unaware of up until now, and she talks about how she was afraid of losing her mother, and was worried because she will always need her, no matter what. After making sure she's okay, Claire tells her mother that she's reached Hawk Point, and her mother states how proud she is for seeing her daughter reach Hawk Peak like she once did long ago. I'm obviously not doing this moment justice, but it's a very heartwarming scene, and I can relate to Claire's situation. Being as worrisome about my mother as I am, and her having a surgery somewhat recently, this part tugged on the heartstrings pretty hard, especially with the piano cover of the main theme playing in the background. After this, Claire says I love you. But, before anything else can be said, they are interrupted by a calm gust of wind from the pool, the famous Hawk Peak updraft, and Claire's mother suggests she rides it before it disappears. Claire's nervous, but her mother reassures her, so she decides to take the updraft. Then, this song begins to play, called A Short Flight. I just circled around Hawk Peak for a while listening to this track, and viewing the beautiful scenery from all the way up here. This, combined with the scene from earlier, made me shed a tear. Or 20. Once I had my fill of the Aurora Borealis, I decided to dive down and glide all over the island. Looking at everything I had accomplished as I peacefully drifted from one section of the island to the next, gave me a very satisfactory feeling I can't describe. Once I did a full lap around the island and saw it all, I began nearing Aunt May's house to say hello one last time. One quick little neat thing is how much you do in the game will change what accomplishments you talk to Aunt May about during the final conversation, which is a nice touch. Once that's over, Claire decides to take a nap. So you walk to the door, Claire says, "It's nap time," then, boom. The end. Short and sweet. Perfect ending to a lovely little game like this one. Oh, I just wish there was more. A Short Hike is my favorite game I've played in 2020. Then again, I haven't really played many other games this year, but that's besides the point. It caught my interest and kept it all the way through to the very end, which is baffling to me. I have trouble collecting the time or energy to finish any game due to how full my schedule can be, much less in a single day. However, this game is something special. Every aspect, the setting, the music, the aesthetic, the story, the characters, all of the pieces work with each other to create a wonderful experience that I couldn't put down. I still go back and replay this game, and working on this video has made me want to play it again. Even after making this video, there's still so much more I want to say about this game, but I don't want to spoil the experience any more than I already have. Going into this as blind as possible is ideal for the best experience, at least in my opinion. If you haven't played this game yet, please give it a chance. It's worth it. Good game. That's all. Oh, and if you care about number rankings on these kind of videos, let's give it a 7 out of 10. Why not? So, this video was a lot longer than I expected it to be. Like, a lot longer. And I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the fact that this is the third time I've had to record this audio, mostly because it sounded bad every other time I did it. But not bad for my first video. I had a lot to say about this game, and I'm glad I did. Anyways, let me know how you felt about this video, A Short Hike, or any other games you'd like to hear me ramble on about next in the comments. If you like this video, like it then, doofus. Well, that's about all. So my name is Goose, and thank you for watching. Now go away.